Wait, are we live? Oh, there we go. All right, now we're live. All right. Hello, everybody who is waiting in the call right now. I think I just sent out the Discord invite or not invite notification. Um, we are up bright and early today, on call with we're already in subs. Thank you, Zwell. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, we're here bright and early, with the Joy Girl, streaming for Voice of All Things episode 31. So I know for a lot of you guys, you guys aren't really morning people, but Joy Girl and I, we wake up early morning and just talk One Piece. That's what we normally do. You guys don't know, but me and Joy Girl, we talk all the time, right, Joy Girl?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
From 6 a.m., 7 p.m. Doesn't matter with the time difference.
Wait, what time is it actually for you right now?
It's actually only 11. It's like, it's almost lunchtime. It's not that early for me. I thought it was your evening.
Yeah, I was trying to make it, less, I don't want you to like wake up and just like brush your teeth and hop onto the stream. But
That's very kind of you. I do appreciate that because, I mean, I would, like you said, I would be willing to do it because that's how most of my streams go, especially if I'm having to do a collab with you American folks. It's usually like 11 p.m. slash 6 a.m.
yeah.
But you're very nice. I feel like I should be accommodating to you. You're a new father.
Yeah, but my schedule's already out of whack. It's just, there's no point to accommodate me. I mean, and my stream knows they don't even know which version of Par is here today. They, which Seraphim is here, which satellite, they don't know.
Uh,
Because they
yeah, right.
last week was detective part. Last week we were solving a murder on Egghead Island. So we were having a lot of
Okay.
fun there. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So wait,
All right.
what time do you usually do your live streams for your chapters?
When I do chapter reactions, it really depends on when the chapter comes out, right? It depends on when the chapter comes out, uh, what time I woke up that day, and how busy my work is. So it will usually either be as soon as I wake up before I have to start work, because I usually work from home on Fridays, which is when the chapter comes out for me in Australia. And this is the translation, like the TCB translations, not the official,
Right.
but I usually do my reactions based on the TCB scans. And that's usually out. Lately it's been out at like 2, 3 a.m. So as soon as I wake up, I will, like you say, brush my teeth and then react and have like a nice hype morning. And then I'll be like, all right, crap, I gotta go to work now.
Right.
Otherwise, this last week, I did it during my lunch break. And I think I was telling you before, I don't know why, but I felt so sick. And I don't know if anyone was here for my live stream on Friday, but I had to jet early because I thought I was gonna throw up. Um, if I missed those because say like work was really busy and I couldn't, have time during my lunch. And also because lunch is only like 1 hour, I don't like to I try not to do it during my lunch break because then that obviously cuts the stream short.
Right.
Then it'll have to be that night. But then if it's that night, I have to think about the fact that everyone else in America is now asleep and in Europe is now asleep. So I'll stay up until like 12 a.m. and then read the chapter. And then by that point, I'm like, I'm so tired anyways. But it's all worth it. It is 100% all worth it.
Yeah, especially these recent chapters. I also
Oh,
been
yeah.
starting to like be more aware of how many like Australian time zone content creators there are. I feel like in the recent days I just like, are we outnumbered right now? Like there's a lot of New Zealand and Australian content creators that I wasn't aware of. Also people like viewers from there too. So I know when I was starting to stream early on, a lot of people were like, yo, stream at a different time, and then I'd be like, wait, where are you from? They're like, Australia. I was like, wait, I have Australian viewers? That's so cool. And then it started realizing how many more fans there were too, on the other side of the world. Real quick, there was okay, hold on, there's a few things happening right now. So
Sure, go for it.
Z Whale with the 10-month sub. Wow, a Joy Girl appearance with the heart and sunglasses emojis. My man Par doing big things as one of your A1 day ones. All I have to say is I'm proud and I
Day
hope you
one.
never stop loving One Piece. Hey, I appreciate that. Wow. Yeah, wow. I mean, it'll be very difficult. That actually that'll be a question I'll ask you in a little bit. With in regards to like actually maybe I'll just ask you, is there anything that could happen in the story that would make you drop One Piece?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I
No.
feel like most content creators, if they ever said it, they're just joking. But then for me, like the reason why I was napping earlier is because there was a TikTok reverie that was happening earlier. So like a bunch of the TikTok creators got came together, and we had like a small thing, but we're trying to make that more regular, just like the YouTube ones, because a lot of people aren't aware of how big the TikTok community is. I've been bringing some of the YouTubers over to TikTok and some of the TikTokers over to YouTube because it's so crazy that nobody knows each other. I'm like in between everybody, and then like Brago, he brought in a TikToker recently on his channel, and then it's just, oh man. And then I started on TikTok. I don't know if you knew that. So um
I realized, no, I had no idea.
yeah, so it's a lot of, I just feel like that's the thing with One Piece, or it's just like, wow, we gotta make it can't be the red line in between the two worlds. We gotta connect break the red line,
Yeah.
connect the worlds. So
Yeah, the all blue.
yeah,
The all blue of like, One Piece creation, content creation.
exactly.
I mean, I have to confess that I don't use TikTok in general.
That makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, I'm not a big TikToker, and so I guess I don't know. Maybe that reveals my age, but or just my I don't know technological ineptitude. But also I have a bit of a so I don't really tell anyone about the fact that I do content creation for One Piece
Oh
to
yeah.
anyone sort of in my life. Like I don't tell my family or anything, and I have a bit of a I like have an actual aversion to TikTok now because that's how my family found out that I'm Joy Girl essentially. Because I only had a Joy Girl TikTok account because I was thinking like back in my earlier days that maybe I will make some TikTok for the kids to make sure that to grow my audience. But I wasn't actually really active on it, but that was the only TikTok account that I had. Whereas my sisters do use TikTok
Uh-huh.
and they were sharing videos for me to watch, like, just funny things that they saw.
Right.
And when you click the link, it automatically must take you to your account. And so when I clicked on the link that she sent me, it I watched it as Joy Girl because I was signed in on TikTok. And then my sister was like, "Who is this Joy Girl watching this video that I recommended to like my sisters? That's really strange." And my
Oh
sister's a bit of
no.
a, she's like an FBI when it comes to
Yeah.
internet stalking.
Right.
And for some reason that day it piqued her interest. And then she was like, "Sophie,
Is this you?
who is Joy Girl? Yeah, is this you? Why do you have an alter ego? Why do you have an online alter ego?" Um,
That's
and they did a
crazy. Wait,
yeah, I
I
got confronted.
when you said this on your stream a long time ago, I thought you just meant like coworkers don't know. I didn't know you also meant like your family, like your sisters don't know either.
No,
Wait,
like
how
my
long have you
family
been doing
doesn't know.
YouTube?
I started sort of towards the beginning of the pandemic,
Okay.
the spicy flu, which must not be named.
Right.
So it's been about like it's coming close to 2, 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years, I think.
Huh.
It's
That's wild.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's like,
I mean, they found out last year. They found out, no, 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 it's been over a year now. They found out, must have been just over a year ago. Um, but yeah, my best friends don't know.
your
My family
best
doesn't know.
friends
So I,
don't know. You
yeah, my best friends don't know. And another one found out because he actually watches One Piece, and then so one of my videos got recommended to him. And apart from the secondhand slash firsthand embarrassment that I felt because it is my channel, I had to be pretty proud, right? Like that my video, because this is when I was obviously like I'm still a very small content creator,
right.
and so the fact that my video got shared enough for it to hit his algorithm, I was sort of proud, but also at the same time I was mortified,
No,
and
I
had to
get
swear
that.
him to secrecy.
Yeah, it's been weird 'cause like my everybody knows on my end, but like my wife's parents, like when I started, they would just put up my videos on the TV, and they don't even know anything. They were just like listening and like whatever. And then um like random, like some, like my wife would just like, I'm not, I believe it or not, I mean my a lot of my viewers know I'm not a social media person. I actually just don't like social media. Like personally, I just end up finding myself on social media for professional reasons. So like our other company is also a social media company. But
Mm.
and so my wife will just like, oh, like he's like recording a podcast with that who so and so or whatever, and then she'll like send me them like their Snapchats or Instagrams of them watching me on like the TV or something. I'm like, please no, I can't ever see them ever again. And then like my baby cousin, like my wife's baby cousin, he like found out, and he's like, he doesn't really know anime, and he's just like, do you make YouTube videos? Do you get? And I was like, no. And he's like, do you talk about Dragon Ball Z? And I was like, how do you even know what Dragon
Oh,
Ball Z is? And then he's just like, I'm pretty sure you do, I've seen your YouTube. He's like, and then
that's so cute.
I was like, oh, that's not me. And he's like, no, I recognize your voice. And I'm like, uh. But yeah, it's just there's a, it's definitely interesting. Have you ever been recognized in public?
No, I've never been recognized. I did meet some people who ended up knowing me,
Mm-hmm.
like knowing channel, knowing the podcast.
Yeah,
But never like just strangers walking along and be like, "Yo, that's Joy Girl." It's never been like that. It was sort of
got
just
it.
like everyone that I also have met who have realized that I am Joy Girl, that I like that I do the Blue Banana podcast. They've been really nice about it, and they haven't brought it up unless it sort of comes up in conversation,
Right.
which saved me a lot of like the mortification again.
Got you. Yeah, so it never happened to me, but another content creator that I collab with every week, Sai, he got recognized in public, but it was funny because they were like, "We love ParVision," and I was just like, "No way, you're lying to
Oh,
me." And they're like, he was just like, "No, that's what they said." Like it was a couple, and the wife actually watched me, and the husband watched Psy, but then they, you know, watch both the videos together. And I was like, you're lying. He's just like, no, dude, it was real. And he was like, he was just like it was like he never expected that, and he doesn't like that kind of attention either. So he was just like, I didn't know what to do. I was like trembling, and I'm like, bro, that's so scary.
and he's also glad that it was on you at least and not him then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they knew him too. They really liked him. It was just funny. I don't
Yeah,
know if
of
he was
course.
just gassing me up, but he was just like, "Yo, they liked your channel." I was like, "You're lying to me right now." Um, but here, let me just, I saw Threevil in the chat. Welcome, welcome. I guess I gotta stream at this hour for Threevil to come out. What's up, Threevil? Dax Sake here too. Uh Reverie, fellow Reverie people, guests as well. Also,
Hello,
before I
hello.
forget, so normally what we do for these things is I ask some questions, you know, to like let people know, or for you to answer so the people get to know you better, how you interact with One Piece and all that stuff. And then, you know, throughout it, if there's like super chats, I get to them. Most of them we address at the very end. And then I like doing that too, because then it helps like refresh the entire conversation, because we go through everything we talked about. Um, and so today, to let you guys know, this is the voice of all things, where we listen to the voice of all things, and Joy Girl is definitely a voice in the community who has, you know, a very, well, a unique perspective, one, but then also a video that I want to highlight that is very unique, because there hasn't been, I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about One Piece with this connection specifically. I know a lot of you guys have already seen the video, but I want to talk more about that, especially when it comes to like how we move forward into One Piece, because it just feels like Oda is just like mega mind, like he's actually just like the real world Punk Records kind of thing. and
Mm.
somehow in the 1990s he had more like he had more reach than the internet gives us now. Like if I were to write a story right now, the amount of resources he had in the 90s is somehow more than like Google can give me. So we know we'll talk about
It's
that.
already on 10G.
Yeah, exactly. He's on 10G. He has Wi-Fi hockey. Um, so, but I see a bunch of super chats. Plus, there was a big membership thing. So, real quick, Zmore with the 6 squiggles sending love to ParVision. Thank you, Zmore. Lord Vegeta, $2 says like the stream or I'll destroy your planet. And then also, I think right
Mm.
before that, he gifted 20 memberships. So
Wow.
that's
Big
very
W.
generous of you, Ragnar. Thank you. Um, I don't know why I did to deserve that, but thank you, Lord Vegeta. Appreciate that. I still haven't put out that second Pluton video that I told you about, but one day I will. I know that second one is your favorite one too. But we'll get. I'm backlogged. Oda's keeping me backlogged. Um, and then he super chatted $2 and just said Joy Sama. So, respects the Joy Girl. And then Zmore with the 15 squiggle says, giving me inspiration to become a One Piece YouTuber. I'm already a giant creator. Honestly, this is amazing. Love hearing the stories. Hey, I mean, this is what I tell everybody, right? I say, like, you could be a content creator at any point in your life, but there's a limited time where you could be a One Piece content creator. The story is ending, and these conversations are we can always have the conversations. Maybe 10 years, maybe the story is over and we can still have the conversations, but they won't be the conversations we're having right now where we're like, who killed Pythagoras and all that stuff, right? Like the freshness of that is so much fun to deal with. And real quick, just thank you all the mods, seeing all the help you guys are providing. Thank you, and everyone in the chat again, welcome in on this beautiful Australian, mid morning, late morning stream.
Noonish.
Noonish, yeah, the noonish stream. So I guess where we should kind of tackle. Oh, actually, I normally do this. I feel like I haven't done like a stream like this in a long time. So apologies for that, Joy Girl, and the stream. Normally I shout out the channel and show you guys where you guys need to go. Also, congrats on the 60K subs. That's pretty dope.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. Also, may or may not be hints of what we're talking about, the language that we're going to be addressing today. Yeah, the video that you're talking about was like from a few months ago, right? It was like I don't remember
It's
the
quite a
thumbnail.
while ago.
I think it was 6 months ago.
If yeah, it might be quite a while ago.
Let's see if I can
I don't
recognize
know
it by
then.
the thumbnail.
I've changed the thumbnail a couple of times to make it more relevant depending on the chapter. But there we go. Days of Future Past.
Days. Oh, did I scroll to it?
Yes.
Oh, I see it right
It's a
here. I
little
see it right
towards
here. Got it.
yeah.
But I was just stuck on this one.
But
Do you guys see how energetic Joy Girl is in this 10:55 reaction? Look at this. That's dope. Oh, that was the other thing. I feel like whenever I tune into yours, the live streams, tune into a lot of people's. Who do you actually? I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase this. There's two content creators with the most energy, and I don't think you'd ever think that you'd be in the same tier as them. Do you know who I'm talking about when they do the live reactions?
I'm gonna guess King Recon.
Oh,
And
King
then
Recon. I think King Recon's always enthusiastic. That's true. I was thinking King of
King of
Lightning.
Lightning?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, alright.
I remember
I would never think to be put in the same tier as King of Lightning.
there was a stream, I forget which chapter was I tuned in. It might have been like you just uploaded the stream, you clipped up the stream and posted it, and you were like you were just like semi cosplaying, you just had like the Luffy hat or something, and then you were just like bouncing off the walls, and I was like, wow, it was my first time tuning in too. I was like, I need to step up my
It was
game.
crazy.
Yeah. I was genuinely
This
surprised.
girl might be a little off her marble.
I think
One
it's
Piece has that effect. One Piece has that effect.
I think it's also because you're standing up in your videos. I should do that more often.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'm sitting down. On, I mean, most
It is a life changer.
to be standing
It
up and that everything.
like yeah, I mean, I can't be standing up right now. I usually would be, but I broke my foot about a week ago, so I'm sitting today. But yeah, I've got a moon boot. I've got a moon boot, sort of like
Oh, she got the
I
Dom
feel
shoes
like
on. She,
I feel like that's what I was gonna say. I feel like I should be cosplaying Labostratum right now.
oh,
But I'm
no.
just a bit too immobile to be getting a proper cosplay fit together. Um,
Not the, she got the Dom shoes on. That's crazy.
yeah,
She's a Vegapunk.
yeah. I'm joining in to become one of the satellites.
That's
I'm a clone.
awesome. That's awesome. I did. um, yeah, the Dom shoes. Thank I. You know what you. Man, you're always showing me up. I need to do better. Also, I need to get
Yeah.
the music video out too. That's something that I should have
Yes.
mentioned because a few of my viewers know that this is coming into the works with the music stuff. I have that second or
Mm.
third channel. Technically, it's second channel because my VOD channel doesn't really count. Um, but yeah, Star Vision. We're gonna have some music there. We already have a Vegapunk song in there. Thanks to Wave Master if he's here. Um, but yeah, it
I
sounds like
must have
you
missed that one. I'll have
you.
to check it out.
I'll send when the one that you need to focus on comes out. I'll definitely send it your way. And
Okay, all right. I see.
yeah, and then Jamal. Oh wait, I think I might have missed one. Someone asked. Did I miss? I feel like I saw a super chat, but they wanted me to ask about Blue Banana podcast and like how I guess just asking about that, what it is, or something. I'm actually not too aware of it other than you're with Grand Line Review and O'Hara in it, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I do a podcast, the Blue Banana podcast with Grand Line Review Liam and O'Hara Manu. I do apologize that there has been a bit of a lull. There was also a lull in my channel as I think I saw it on Twitter. People were blaming me that because there's also been a lull in my channel, I must be responsible for the break in Blue Banana podcast, which I don't know if I can say that I take blame for.
Mm-hmm.
I do take responsibility for my own channel, but for the podcast, there was just people getting sick. It was coming up to the holidays and COVID was still a thing. People were going away for holidays. Our
Right.
editor was sick, and just a lot of bunch of stuff happened, which is why we have been on a bit of an unplanned, unexpected break. But there will be updates coming very, very soon.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm guessing that's what they wanted to know about the lull that's there. I wasn't aware of that. And on that note too, me and Sai, the other content creator, we're actually starting up our own podcast too because we talk every week about the chapter and then we just ended up talking about random things and people ended up enjoying it. I think it's just fun to connect with people on something, especially
Yeah.
with One Piece, right? Like I guess this is a good segue for my chat at least to know how you got into One Piece, but then also how what is like One Piece like on your side of the world, because like I feel like it might be different than it is here, definitely different than Japan. Maybe it's, I don't know. So let us know how it's like.
Yeah, for sure. So, my origin story when it comes to One Piece is it was an anime that one of my good friends from work were really, really into.
Mm,
And I was sort of a bit more new to anime. Like I used to watch it when I was very young, but I wasn't really into anime growing up. Um, and then I sort of got into it again later in my life, sort of around university. I was watching like things like Naruto, and watching all the older ones to sort of, I guess, things that people recommended, to get into anime. And then One Piece was one that I swore I was not gonna watch. I said, there are close to, at this point, there was like, I don't know, must have been like 800 something
I mean,
episodes.
that's
And I
fair.
said, I just finished Naruto. That took me freaking ages. And that was me knowing that Naruto was like half filler.
Uh-huh.
You're telling me that I have to watch actually 800 episodes
Right.
that aren't filler. Um, like that's never happening. But then my friends were really, really excited about it, and they were really,
Good friends.
Yeah, they were good friends. Like, yeah, we had a bit of a lunch club going on, and they were talking about it, and it started getting like I started getting interested. But still, I was like, nah, I can't do, 1,000 chapters. I can't do 1,000 episodes. But then I remember one day, I went to visit my friend on his level, and it was the day that he must have read the chapter whilst he was at work, and it was the and he laughed chapter
Oh, wow.
when Roger leaves, when Roger, yeah, arrives at Laugh Tale, and he was just super freaking excited. Like he was bouncing off the walls at the office, in the office, and he just could not be contained. Because like I mean, which makes complete sense
Right.
when you reach the chapter and you understand what's happened. But to an outsider, it was just so bizarre witnessing that. And I thought, okay, if a chapter can make someone this excited, then it has to be worth starting. And then so with a little like that was sort of on my mind, and then a little bit later, so my guilty secret is that whenever I should be studying and whenever I have like big work to do, I always end up procrastinating and starting a new series. Um,
Fair.
and so it was coming up to my final exams at uni, and instead of studying, I decided that was the time to start watching One Piece. Um, and so yeah, I started watching One Piece from then, and I got really hooked. It also ended up that I got sick close to COVID, like
Oh,
close to the beginning of COVID. But it wasn't COVID. I just had a normal cold, but I was out from work for about 2 weeks.
how
And so
convenient.
during that period, I just yeah, I just binged the rest of the series. I stopped watching. I stopped watching around Fishman Island. I thought that's when like I really couldn't stand
Pacing.
the pacing anymore. And so that's when I started reading. And because I remember for about 2 weeks straight, all I did was I would nap because I was very unwell, would eat, read, go back to napping. And that was just like on cycle for about 2 weeks. It was just nap, nap, eat, read, repeat. Um, and then I caught up on the same chapter. I think it was, yeah, it was it's a very auspicious chapter. It was when you're at when you're at sea, you fight like pirates. Just before the Onigashima raid,
Oh, wow.
when Luffy shows up, yeah, with Kid and Law, and it was a really good chapter to I think catch up on because it was a very exciting chapter, and obviously like the raid's about to start. You see like Luffy's like when all hope seems lost, Luffy shows up, and it was a really good chapter. That and like I see you see Luffy's fit. He's got the captain cloak.
Right.
Law's got his. Like they're all looking schmick. And that was the chapter that I caught up on, and then I was just so bummed that I couldn't continue binging anymore. There's like a level
Mm,
of excitement when you catch up with the series, but then also like this feeling of like, okay, I can't, like, what do I do now? Like, you're telling me I have to wait another week? Like, I have to wait another week for this? I can't do this. And then that was when my friend told me that he watched the Grand Line review. He was watching Liam's channel at the time, and he said, did you realize that Liam's like Grandland Review's Australian, and we're like, really? And then we just thought, all right, then I can do this. You love One Piece, like you should do this. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll do this. By this point, COVID had taken foot, and I had a lot more time. I wasn't going into campus anymore. I wasn't going into work physically, so I just had a lot of time on my hands. So I started content creating pretty much as soon as caught up, and yeah, it's been just the love affair, my greatest love affair since then.
yeah, I mean, that's because that means you started the manga before I did, even though I've been with One Piece my entire life, essentially, since One Piece started. But I was anime only because I started as a kid. And then, like, for me, it was like
Mm.
every Saturday, it was just a tradition. I always joke with my wife that the only thing, because my wife is my childhood friend, and then we got,
Oh.
dated, married, all that. And so, like, I always joked her, the only thing that's been in my life longer than her is One Piece. And
Yeah.
and for me it was during the pandemic I met like a One Piece fan who we were introduced as like he's a One Piece fan and you're a One Piece fan and like be friends or whatever. And
Yeah.
then we met and he was manga, and he was like, "Did you read chapter 1000?" I was like, "No," and I was just like, "I'm anime," and that just that feeling of like not being like, though I love One Piece, not being at the forefront of it, and then like,
Mm.
you know, like it wasn't even like, oh, like manga's better, whatever. It was just more like, man, I want to be as excited as he was. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I caught up. So once chapter 1000 came out, that's when I essentially not dropped the anime. I still watch the anime week. Well, ever since I had the kid, I stopped watching weekly, which I'll catch up on. Sorry about that, guys. The watch parties are coming back. But then I caught up, and I had much of the same thing. As soon as I caught up, I was like, wait, what do I do now? And then I was
Mm.
scrolling on TikTok, and I had no idea about the anime community. And then I saw people talking about One Piece, and I was just like, wait, I have ideas. Wait, I want to start like sharing things. And then after I made like my first few TikToks, people were like, you should do this on YouTube. I was like, people do this on YouTube? What? Like, I had no idea that there was any sort of like anime world on social media. I knew like Reddit existed, but like I'm not on Reddit, so like,
Mm.
which could be a good thing and a bad thing. I have people who a lot of my close friends are like Reddit monsters, and so like it kind of works out where I don't need to be a Reddit person because they'll just tell me about things. Um,
Yeah, right.
but wow, that we have a similar thing where we just kind of like it was not to say it's like a drug, but it's kind of like a drug. Like,
Oh yeah, it
yeah,
is definitely a drug.
yeah, where it's
I
just
would say most definitely a drug.
yeah. Well, right now you're detoxing. I hear you're in a little bit of a lull with the thing, but you still keep you keep the fix with the chapter reactions. So
Yeah,
we get
so the videos is just it just takes a lot of time. I usually have an editor who wasn't able to edit for me anymore and
hmm
for a time and usually like I've had things like happen like that in the past and usually I would do all-nighters like for a lot like many months of last year my schedule was because I worked two jobs as well and
right.
I was finishing a law graduate program. I would be like working from 8 till 5, have to do a bit of like assignments or like a bit of work studying, and then I'd be releasing a video. I was like planning on releasing a video the next morning at 6 a.m. So I'd be editing from, I don't know, like 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. and then sleep 2 hours and then go back to work. And I was doing that for a couple months. And then towards the end of the year, I had a bit of like family issues where I took a bit of a break. And then after that, it was just taking a bit of time for me to get back into it. And also, I just had crazy other like life, work, hectic stuff going on. But I remember when the first week when I had a bit of family issues, like personal problems, I read the chapter alone and I didn't do the chapter reaction because I didn't feel like I could bring the same sort of energy that
hmm
I like to bring in chapter reaction that I think One Piece deserves. And I read the chapter and I felt like I don't know, I felt like I was cheating um on like the Joy Fleet. I thought I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like I was happy and I was like, it was making me happy, but it just didn't feel right reading the chapter on my own. And
I
so
get
ever
that.
since then I've had to go back, yeah, to read the chapter. It's just a lot more fun. So I like your videos, I didn't used to show my face in the videos for the first couple of, I don't know, maybe year of the channel. And then I started, and then I ended up starting to read the chapters live as well. And then I just realized like how much more fun it is to read the chapter live when you can have ideas like bouncing off each other and like you're immediately
Yeah.
discussing like things coming up, things, details that people missed. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance that gets missed. So if there's like a Japanese speaker in the chat, then they'll fill us in with a lot of details. And I just found that like that's just such a yeah, it's just such an amazing experience, and you can never go back after you start reading it with people.
Yeah, no, that man, we're really drug addicts. This is crazy. I'm gonna change the title of it because I'm just the same thing where, like in terms of, being a newer content creator at the time, I was making mainly theories and that would get more of the views, and I didn't want to kill my channel with the chapter reactions. But when like Brago and everybody makes a chapter reaction video, nobody's gonna watch like this smaller creators thing. So then
Mm,
I
yeah.
was like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna stop doing these. I'll put it on my second channel if I ever do them. And then like after a few weeks I was like, this is weird, like going backwards, because I would read it, and I wasn't even doing live streams at the time. I would just read it, and then I would make a chapter reaction video. And like, and
Mm.
I love doing that, like being like taking the time to sit down and analyze it, and then putting it out there and just seeing what people have to say about that. And then the happy medium was like, you know what, I don't have the time, and I can't like keep up the speed, and it's way too hard to edit a video all in one day so it comes out in a timely manner. So I was just like, I'll just stream it. And then
Yeah.
once you start it, it's just like you can't really go back in terms of like, it's
Yeah.
just too much fun. Even if there's like, starting out is like two or three or four people, and it's like even that's like just
Yeah.
some more fun. And at the end of the day, I think like you, it's just going back to the roots of like you like enjoying things with friends, and that's kind of what this
Yeah,
is all about, right?
exactly.
Right. So,
Yeah.
um, Shaz, there's you guys are going crazy in the chat right now. Paul Mao with the $10 super chat said, "Ayo, Kingu and Joy Girl in the same tier. Never would have thought that, but I do agree that her reactions are very fun and animated. Feel like she's bringing the chapter to life." Do you? There's young Usopp. He's a content creator who makes he every not every week, the week after, he essentially raps and sings the chapter. So like he'll go through.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I now the way he said that, it's almost like, I don't know why I'm not memeing on you, but I was thinking about your dance music video, and I was thinking like Joy Girl
Okay,
like
all right.
interpretive dances the entire chapter. It's a lot of fun. I mean,
I mean, maybe
honestly,
that's the thing. Maybe that's what I have to bring.
yeah, that's the next
Gonna
level
have to
of
step it
our,
up. All
yeah,
right
yeah.
then.
We won't be able to go back. Once we start interpretive dancing, reacting to the chapters, no going back. That's like King of Lightning level though. He already does that. So, um, you know, if you guys, hey, I know I'm making it like a borderline joke, but like at the minimum, the drug is fun. Like that's what it is. Like the it's just happiness. It's fun. That's what Oda is giving us right now. And like I think,
Yeah.
I just feel like, it's something that's crazy. It's like you started during the pandemic. The pandemic was like brutal to so many people around the world, right? And it's like it still is. Some people still have the impact, and to think that like, people a lot of times outside of the community, like I'm sure like you're a superhero essentially, where you have a secret identity and alter ego kind of thing. But like, when I bring it up to
Funny.
other people, they're like, oh, what do you do, blah blah. And I kind of like, the beginning I was like, oh, it's just like a book club. That's how I kind of say it. It's like we just talk about a book, right? Like
Ah,
it's the
yeah.
most popular book in the world, that kind of thing. But like
Mm.
there's always some people who just don't understand like what the point of this is, or like why like this kind of thing is popular. And it's like fiction is an escape, period. And it's like if regardless of what it is, it's like if that escape brings you joy and happiness, and then it constantly elevates and you want to talk, and if everybody in
Mm.
the world's talking about it, then then it just makes it all that better. And I think we saw a version of that with Game of Thrones, when Game of Thrones is peak popular. Feel like
Mm.
me and my wife, we traveled during that time. It was pre-pandemic stuff, and everywhere we went, there was so many Game of Thrones fans when it was like the seasons are coming out, or the episodes are coming out. And I feel like One Piece should already be there, but it's not. And that's why I was asking, like in Australia, or your, is like, do you just like
I think
go
it
out and
is.
like people like just talk about it? Because like in Japan, like the Hidden Island, he went to Japan recently, and he told me that like when a chapter drops, you just like go on the train, or you're in a commute, and everybody's reading the chapter, everybody's talking about it. And
Mm.
I'm like, I want to be Japanese. Like I want to go there. Like
Yes.
I wanted that so badly. And I feel like that's Oda's ulterior motive, low key, high key, is like he made this into, I mean, there, have you ever heard this like the entire anime industry is propaganda?
No.
Oh, you never heard that? Wait, this is actually real. I'm pretty sure this
No.
is real. Chat, verify this for me. So, like, like Japan historically doesn't have the best reputation for Asia in terms of,
Oh yes, I haven't heard of it as like anime as a propaganda, but I definitely see where you're going with this. The
yeah.
cutesy,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes,
Hello Kitty was the
yeah, okay.
gateway, and then like anime
Mm-hmm.
was the way to like insert Japanese back into
Yep.
the world without, being the normal,
Associated with,
yeah, the conquistadors,
yeah,
if you will. And so I feel like Oda is doing that with One Piece, and I'm not mad, but like I think he's doing a good job because, like you said, when there's a person who can speak Japanese or knows Japanese in your chat, that's so much better. But like the amount of time I've spent like looking at kanji and katakana and like asking people what does this mean, and like even with the Saint Saturn
yeah.
and like how we just like found out, like I think the whole community had like a Japanese lesson that day, that the days of the week and the planets and the kanji all lines up to like the wood, gold,
Mm,
forest, earth, all that stuff. I think like Neptune is like ocean star or something like that. Like so many
yeah.
cool things. And how many other animes are doing that? How many other pieces of fiction make you like study another language that far? Especially when it's like
To
being
that extent, yeah.
translated for you, right? It's
Mm.
really cool. Um,
Yeah, I mean, Oda definitely is like the king of next level messaging. Like, just everything has like a deeper meaning, and
yes.
there's just so much inspiration that he takes from different sources of media, real life, like history, real life events. It's amazing. Like the mythology. It's like never ending to the point that like it becomes like I think I made a skit on it where it's sort of like you sort of have to overthink everything, and I think it's on one hand that causes a lot of theorists to be like, this I don't know, this banal like piece of, I don't know, this character's name suddenly gets referenced to, I don't know, like a character, like the, I don't want to say character, like a figure from the Bible that, I don't know, maybe like it is true,
Maybe
maybe it
important,
isn't,
right?
but it's just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you can't help it. Like he does this, and he does it like I think he does it purposefully so that we do overthink every little detail, because like 9 out of 10 times, I think he does, like he has some sort of meaning in those details. But I definitely agree with you. It's I think I think what it is with One Piece is that it actually does have that same level of fan base around the world. They're just not as we're just not as vocal about it, because like on one hand, yes, in terms of the anime world, One Piece is very mainstream, but in all of media and entertainment, full stop, it's not quite as mainstream. Like anime still is seen as a niche. But I think that's what's changing. And I think that's rapidly changing. And I think it's also, you can tell that it's changing, but obviously the Netflix live action,
It's gonna,
that's probably what's going to change it the most.
yeah.
And that's like, yeah, we don't have to talk about the live action because I know it's quite controversial and people have lots of different thoughts about it. Um,
um,
but
yeah.
like at the end of the day, if it brings in new people to the community, even
Hmm.
if it brings in like just 10% of people who watch it, and our community grows even just by 10%, like that would be super duper awesome, because it's like for all all fans who already watch the anime, who watch the manga, just because the live action doesn't do well, like, and I'm not saying that it won't, but even if it doesn't, that doesn't mean that we're going to be turned off One Piece. We'll just say like, it's
Yeah.
too bad, like it didn't do what it could have. But there's this awesome manga or there's this awesome anime. If people are at least interested about this idea of a world of pirates, about where there is a thing of, like a world government that controls the world, but there's like shady crap going on, and that the pirates are sort of the good guys, but they're also sort of the bad guys, and it's just a beautiful story about friendship, about freedom, like about all of these really core things that we all love about um I guess about like you say, escaping our real world. And if we can say, okay, so the live action wasn't that great, but you should watch the anime or you should read the manga.
Right.
Like if people are at least interested in those ideas, the like I think definitely One Piece will become a lot more mainstream, and it will become like, something as big as Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's just like a mood that I'm in, but low key, I feel like we're drug dealers, and we're finding a new way to get someone into the thing. And the live action, like you were saying, like I know it's controversial. I think on on this channel, we're more of the. I know there's a lot of critics. Obviously, there always will be for everything. But my take is essentially, hey, listen, like it's not made for you. And the question
Mm,
earlier, it's like it's not like if the live action's bad, it's not like I'm just gonna like I'm dropping the manga. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
no one's gonna, if the live action's garbage, which it probably won't be, because like at the minimum it's still the One Piece story, so it's not gonna be like like you're starting off on gold, and you're just adding, hopefully the CGI doesn't turn that into like butter, but like but essentially, as long as there's more people coming to it, how could you be mad, right? Like how can you be
Mm.
mad? I can't think of a world where someone's sitting there watching the anime weekly, and then they hear about the live action, and then they're like, you know what, nah, and then they just toss out like their favorite thing. It's not gonna happen. So it's definitely, I hope it does become more mainstream. And you're right, it's like it's a niche within a niche, right? Because it's also like One Piece already has its own stigma within the anime community, right? Because it's like it's
Yeah.
so long, all the people are like they read the Bible every week, and it's just One Piece. Like I don't know if you see, Rogers Base is on TikTok now, and it's it's just the way he jokes about it, like the way because he'll be like, he was like joking about like a chapter 5 thing, and then he pulled out like a book from the back, like the comic, the manga, and then he opened it up and went to like page whatever chapter thing, and he like read it out, and then the comments are like, bro thinks this is Bible study and stuff, and I'm like, no, not like it was just all these like,
Not the Bible
yeah,
study.
like all these kids. And I don't blame them, because the way Rogers Base had it, like if you guys don't know, you guys can see his shorts, you can definitely see the way it was going. I was like, I can't even blame these people. But because you wouldn't have that for like Naruto, you wouldn't have that for other things. But like you're saying, I think the other part of it too, the external connections that One Piece makes, it's like it's like a loop where it's like, while you're reading the story, there's so many connections, but at the same time, those connections are hooks for someone different than you, right? Like if Wano wasn't your sauce, Egghead is. But like Fishman
Mm.
Island is a lot of people's favorite things because it relates to them, right? And so there's so many different angles as to how One Piece is just like a gateway, of euphoria, if you will. I won't continue to use the D word here. We'll be talking about a different D word later on. The D clan. Sorry, I don't
I was gonna
want
say,
to. I don't
I'm
want.
saucy up in here.
Yeah, I don't want to let the chat go too wild with that one. So real quick with Hype Hunter YouTube, the community, they just recently
Hey,
had an award video, and
yes, another Aussie.
yeah, and then your boy here happened to win, and it was not rigged. I know you guys want to say it was rigged. It was not rigged, I promise you. But your boy here won YouTube One Piece YouTuber of 2022. I don't know how. I don't know how, and it wasn't rigged. I promise. I promise. But he said the hockey flowing from the stream was felt here in Australia, so I had to see what was happening. Have a fun stream, guys. And
Oh, thanks, Luke.
yeah, I appreciate, that's what I'm saying. In the recent months, I've been like, man, we're outnumbered. There's a lot of content creators on the other side of the world. We got to balance it out. We got to do a great, no, I was gonna say a great cleansing, but that's too far. And then also, I don't know why Streamlabs doesn't notify me of this, but Lord Vegeta again with another 20 gifted memberships, which is, thank you. I I guess, you know what I'm understanding. He's he's a bigger fan of you than he is of me. That's what I'm understanding right now. It's because you're here. So thank you, Joy Girl, for being here. And naturally, this conversation is lending itself to what we're going to be talking about, or where we want to go. But I definitely didn't want to skip through getting to know Joy Girl, because like, one, we haven't talked that much. The world splits us up, but One Piece is the one connecting us, so I'm grateful for that. But in terms of like the external connections, right, that's where your video, that I don't know if how many people in the chat have seen it, but essentially And it just makes so much sense that like Oda, a Japanese author, would be inspired by probably the one thing that actually doesn't get a stigma in terms of like international applaud, or not, I was gonna say appraisal, I don't know what the right word is, but you know, when it comes to like Studio Ghibli, um the world doesn't associate that as like anime, or like you hear a lot of times like, oh, like I don't watch anime but I do watch Studio Ghibli, like I've seen those movies. um so you have a video that was basically connecting One Piece to a particular piece from Studio Ghibli. If you want to share that and breeze through some of the things and hit them with those connections, then we can talk more about it. If you want to do that real quick.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if you've watched the film. So the I don't know, I guess in the America, in the American region, the title is Castle in the Sky.
Right.
Here in Australia, where Latin, where we don't have a lot of Latin Australians, I suppose is the term. We just call it La Puta because that's actually what the film is called. La Puta, Castle in the Sky. It's because the name La Puta comes from Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Tales, and that's the actual name of the ship that they got it from. But La Puta, Castle in the Sky, I'm going to say that over and over again in the stream just to keep getting it out. Um, so that film is basically about these two children who uh, meet and then are, I guess, sort of they debunk a big conspiracy in the world. And when you watch it, I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers because it's a really great film and I really highly recommend everyone to watch the film. You realize that, holy crap, Oda was like, I'm not gonna say that he everything in One Piece is going to go back and relate to that film, but you can't deny that he was heavily inspired by that film. You see these like stone, I guess crypts or stone blocks that have writing on it, and that just they look so much like poneglyphs. There's an island floating in the sky, a literal sky island. You see something that looks awfully like the Arc Maxim. Um,
It's like a one to one.
Luffy's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it looks exactly
Luffy's
like it.
voice actor, Luffy's Seiyu, is actually the Seiyu of the main character in the film. And it's also like worth noting that I think the film came out when Oda was around 12, like around that age, like early teenager or maybe even younger. And it seems like and I think I do remember Oda said that that's when he was first inspired. That's when he started actually thinking up and cooking up One Piece. And you see that all of these things have such a great huge influence. Like even the name of the character, which is a bit of a spoiler, has an sort of an initial or a middle name that ends up being a huge meaning that showcases her lineage, like her, I guess, royal lineage, similar to the D clan, how there's, you know, Luffy, like, you know, Monkey D Luffy. And there is just like big brain, lots of connections that can be made, but also that like if you think back on sort of the real life connections that Oda likes as well, you start to see that he was like based maybe from that film, he started looking at into into actual history, and looking at Mesopotamia, where the you know we could find out about the Will of D, where we can actually find out what that D means. Also the cuneiforms, which seems to have heavily inspired poneglyphs, again, which was also in that animated film. Now, I watched a few of your videos though as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so based on this video, sort of the bigger things that I took away in terms of the future of One Piece and especially with like Egghead Island, what's coming up now, because another element of that film is we see these ancient robots.
Right.
The island that was in the sky was actually a heavily advanced society, much more advanced than the world that everyone else is living in now.
Which makes sense. It's
And
a
they had
castle
these,
in the sky, so it probably more
yeah,
advanced than us plebs on the
yeah.
ground.
um, and there are these ancient robots, and obviously we saw that very recently in Egghead Island as well. And now
Mhm.
I made this video before Egghead Island started, but as soon as I saw that in, you know, I think it was, I can't remember what chapter it was,
Like
but as soon as I saw that, I was like, holy crap, like there is
Laputa
much more
stocks.
to this. Yeah,
Laputa stocks are up right
Laputa
now.
stocks going up. Yeah, everyone buy your Laputa stocks. Exactly, exactly. Um, but yeah, so that's, and I know that you've been on the IM train, and I know that you've
Hmm.
been looking at, you know, who IM could be, what IM's name actually is. And I think I watched two of your videos that heavily talked about IM. Um, and you mentioned, because I went back and I referenced my video on this, because my latest sort of im thought was I was on the Mother Nature train. I
Right.
was on the, I think im is a representation of Earth and Mother Nature, and I know you talked about that in one of your videos as well. We did have a slight difference in that I was thinking that um, I think that Mother Nature, as Mother Nature, didn't like the ancient kingdom or the great kingdom, whichever translation we go by here, because the ancient kingdom were more advanced and were doing things that was unnatural to the earth.
Right.
And things like the giant robots, things like creating these, you know, advanced technology, which could, you know, advance society and could have a lot of positive impacts, but could also have a lot of whole host of negative impacts, which is something that Jinbei pointed out when Vegapunk talked about, you know, creating, you know, the mind internet.
Hmm.
And um, so I was thinking that, you know, Im might have been the representation of Mother Nature who fought back against sort of, I guess, these, I
The
don't know if they're
advances.
supernatural, if they're declan, yeah, like this advancement that doesn't actually benefit society, or at least at that point Im thought that it wasn't advancing society, but then Im's just become, you know, grown on this power, and it's become, they've become a bit more of a megalomaniac
Right.
in a
Right.
sense.
I'm
But
no,
I Go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
I really enjoyed watching your videos, and the first thing that I want to say is huge respect and huge kudos for going into the space theory, because I have been working on a space theory for literally months, even before Egghead Island started.
Uh-huh.
And I just cannot seem to ever finish it because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just like, and I don't know how to like piece all of my thoughts together because it just grows more and more. But there were things that you mentioned that I really loved the sound of. You know, looking at your idea of the a currently geocentric world turning into a heliocentric world with, like, you know, Im currently at the center, but Luffy at the center is something that I've been really thinking about a lot, and I think it makes like so much sense. But I'll leave it to you to explain because it's your video, and we can talk about the connections.
Yeah, yeah. So that's actually one thing that I want to jump off with, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like I watched a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies a lot when I was younger, and I feel like I just have like a Mandela block when it comes to some of the movies. But in Castle in the Sky, there is, and you know, this may or may not be spoilers, it's not necessary, but there's not a, from the video, I don't gather there was like an Eam figure that was ever described. So that was what was really interesting to me, because when you watch that, it's like you know, obviously Oda takes inspiration from a lot of different places, and that one, the no joke, guys, like it's not like even what Joy Girl just explained, it's like it sounds like it's a one-to-one, but like that was only like 10% of the connections. You watch that video and you're just like, wait a second, like Oda, we need to take you to plagiarism. No, I'm joking, but like, but and you know, everyone takes inspiration from things here and there, and it was just cool that like somehow there was the same framework, right? The castle in the sky, the advanced kingdom, ancient kingdom, with the robots, with the ancient writing, with the clan, all this stuff. The main character has the same voice actor, all this stuff. But then there was the main antagonist of One Piece was missing, and I was like, huh, that is so interesting. And then what you were saying, like the whole Mother Nature aspect, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a trope that we see in a lot of places. And I almost like the reason why in my videos you were kind of alluding to, I went in the first one, I believe I went in a different direction where I was essentially saying that Eam was a byproduct of the ancient kingdom, so to say, or that's like one line of logic. My channel knows I have a few videos and I'm on the Eam train, so you guys are gonna have to deal with a few more Eam videos until I'm done exhausting all the connections, because right now they're too much fun. But like I feel like with Eam right now, we're at this like standstill where what connection, where did Oda pull Eam from? You brought it like Mesopotamian connection. Something that I didn't post in those videos was like that the emu. So in that video, the first one I think you watched was the imagination. So
Mm-hmm.
the kingdom's name is imagination. The empty throne, if you take Kyo, which is the kanji that you they is used for empty throne, Kyo translates to imaginary, so it's the imaginary throne, the imagination kingdom, and Im would be imagine. And then so the difference would be that like when you end with a consonant in Japanese, especially in katakana, you end it with the imu sound. But like if you just added words to the ending, it just changes. And I forgot which example I used in the thing. Like so it'd be like if you did cream would be creamu, and then if you did creamer, it wouldn't be creamu anymore, it'd be crema. So it'd
Mm-hmm.
be interesting if Oda used that, because when you use katakana to translate uh not translate but to uh insert foreign words into Japanese text, it's usually done for that reason. But im doesn't mean anything, and it's never used for I'm, like I am in English. So it's like, why would you use that as the katakana when you could have done, various other symbols, right? And and I know like a lot of people have pulled from so many different places. One that I haven't even used yet is apparently if you combine the kanji or the katakana for emu, it ends up being the symbol for Buddha. And I was just like, wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think I came across that before as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. And then so like I have a whole, like one of my other videos which I could just spoil is like when you think about that Buddha's ultimate goal was nirvana. And what the thing about nirvana is that the etymology of nirvana actually means to empty. So like nirvana is the empty state, but it also means like to blow away, to empty. And when you think about like the great cleansing, when you think about what they
Mm.
did to Lelucia, all that stuff, it's like, is that nirvana? Is that what is being referenced here? But then at the same time, you brought up like the Mesopotamian reference, and so one of the things I said in that video was that Oda might have chose Mu specifically because Mu is actually like there's several different ways. Well, right now we're on Egghead, and mu or mu would be like a symbol that's commonly used in physics, but at the same time, it's a symbol that's used in it's Egyptian sourced, I think, and it references the ocean. Mu is ocean in that, so it's like
Mm.
there's so many different ways, and it's like at the same time, like you said earlier, all these connections could be meaningless, but for some reason, I feel like Oda with Emu, specifically Emu, is like that one character that, regardless of whatever reference you pull from, right? Castle in the Sky is missing the Emu figure. You look at a lot of these other things, they're all missing that Emu figure. Emu seems like the Oda's like specific original thing that he put in, and honestly is very hard to implement when you think about it. Like when you a lot of stories fall off when they get to that last stage antagonist. I know, not to continuously crash on Naruto, but like that's where a lot of people felt Naruto fell off, where it's like if it ended on Madara, it would have been fine, but then they added
Mm.
Kaguya, and Kaguya is the Eam, well, in
Yep.
Shippuden, the Eam level character, right? So
Yep.
executing on that is very, very difficult. And given how many references Oda has been giving, I wouldn't be surprised if Oda just like took something from every part of the world and added it into the thing. And that's also why I feel like he is doing a reverse thing where I was having a call with Brago, and we were talking about this, like, and this ties into the current story with like Egghead. When you were going into Egghead, and you like we got the gist that like Luffy was teaming up with Vegapunk, and like we already Luffy's Gear 5. He took down Kaido, right? Yonko crew, and then there's Vegapunk, and then they're teaming up. You kind of get the sense that like nobody can beat them, right? Like did you get that feeling with that?
Yeah, it was just like, what's gonna be the struggle now?
Right, right. And then when Lucci rolls up on his like little ship, right, and he's just like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna assassinate Vegapunk." What were your thoughts there? Were you just like, "Ain't no way," right? Like, what did you think?
Yeah, I was just yeah, it was exactly like, look, obviously Lucci's going to have awakened his devil fruit. They're going to awaken their devil fruit because that's the only way that they're going to be able to stand
Hmm.
and fight against Luffy, like even Zoro, even Sanji really. Like the crew has just become so strong, like not even just Luffy. Everyone has had these crazy power-ups that it's I was thinking when we saw Kizaru make an appearance, I was like, ah, there it is. Like that makes sense because the CP0 alone really wasn't gonna cut it. So when
Right,
Kizaru I guess got into the play, I was like, okay, this is starting to make a little bit more sense. But yes, Saturn, I'm guessing, is where we're going here,
right,
or Saint
right.
Garcia,
Yeah, yeah.
Jay Garcia. That's when it's like, okay, so the Gorosei, are they fighters?
Yeah. And it so my channel started off with like power theories where Threevil was here earlier and he we had a stream together like 2 weeks ago where I asked a few creators. I was like, what do you think that the Saturn is gonna be powerful? Do you think Saturn is gonna be powerful?
I think now, yes.
Now, yeah.
More and
Wait,
more,
hold on,
I am now getting convinced.
did you think he was like senior citizen before? Like
I I just like the Gorosei, I sort of saw them less as a physical role and more of like a political role.
gotcha.
Whereas like now I'm seeing them more in like, okay, they actually could play a bit more of a an actual role when it comes to the fighting. Like I know we've always seen the guy with the sword, but then I thought that maybe it could a bit like it could always be a little bit more symbolic rather
Yeah.
than an actual,
Ceremonial.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But now I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is actually maybe these guys, old man strength.
Do you have actually? This is a good question. I never, I don't recall seeing any videos. Do you have any like power structure videos like hockey? Do you think like hockey, the what we saw of Kaido, like that's like what the last saga is gonna look like, or do you think it's gonna be way crazier?
Oh, I think it's going to be way crazier. So I think so. For as long as I can remember, what I have been saying about this great epic final war, I know that a lot of times, like, the conversation becomes like, are we going to defeat the Marines first and then defeat Blackbeard? Are we going to defeat Blackbeard and then defeat the Marines? Like, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen and that this is my theory, but personally, what I've always wanted to see is I have always just wanted to see a shit fight with all the factions involved.
Right.
Like, I want to see the revolutionaries, the pirates, world government, Marines, like, they're all fighting on this one stage and everyone's fighting each other and it's just super messy, super ugly, like super complicated and complex and everyone's like just having an all-out fight. Um
Do you think there's a place
so
in the One Piece world that can handle that fight at this point with given like Bajrang gun and like all the craziness, right? Like we could destroy islands in a single move. I mean, you saw S Hawk slice Amazon Lily in half, and
yeah,
that's not the Seraphims aren't supposed to be like Luffy level, right? So then if we're going Gorosei, Emu, God Knights, whatever, then where do you think that fight's gonna be?
like who knows, right? Who knows? Like maybe it doesn't take place in just one space. Like maybe it is like it's sort of like if you think about the great wars in actual history, if you think about world wars, like
Mm-hmm.
there are main battle
Oh, okay, I
sites
like that.
like and where there are key battles taking place and so you might win a
Oh,
battle but you might lose the war. Like it could be a situation like that where different factions are fighting different people and it's a messy affair.
I like. Wait. I like because that could be like in Dressrosa, right? Like Luffy and them were disjointed from Usopp and Robin. Usopp
Mm,
had to deactivate Sugar's power in order for
yeah,
them to essentially unlock a huge amount of power, and that would honestly play really well if Oda were able to create an importance on like multiple islands that this thing needs to happen, then this thing needs to happen, and if all of those things don't line up, then they can't do it. And honestly, you watch Film Red, right?
yes.
Okay, okay. I mean, at this point, we've talked about Film Red a decent amount on the channel, so uh, if like in the next 10 seconds, if someone said I don't watch Film Red, don't spoil me. Maybe I'll be nice, but I'm I, I'm not even spoiling, but like essentially, there's a moment in the thing where communication is very important in terms
Mm.
of like in a in a situation where you don't think communication is even possible. And it to give you, you know, without spoiling it, the moment that reminds me the most of it is actually on Whole Cake Island when Luffy is in the mirror world and he has to communicate to his crew, and then he just kind of like he's talking to them and then he shatters the mirror and then he's just like, I trust them, right? And then at the same time Sanji's on chocolate cacao island making a cake, which
Yeah.
is like such a random thing now that I think about it, because that could also like imagine in the at the last saga like Sanji has to whip up like a planetary like an island cake for something. I don't know, like Emu has hunger pangs or something like that. And that'd be crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, and then you can even throw in Chopper, right? Because Chopper on Onigashima had that same thing where he had a
Mm.
time limit to create. You know what? Now I think about it, you're probably right. Each of the Straw Hats might be on their own thing, leading like when Sanji was in the on Cacao Island, he was leading a team of chefs. When Chopper was on Onigashima, he had a bunch of doctors. When I imagine if Vegapunk, you know, phases out of the story in some capacity, then Frankie would take that front and then he would be like an engineering thing. And then you'd have like shipwrights, engineers all working separately. And then like, you know, you're worried about this one thing. Oh my God, wait, it actually could like line up to like the Noah or something. You know, like how Joy Boy had to apologize that the Noah they weren't like ready for
Can
it,
be brought up.
something
Yeah.
failed. It could be all the other pieces lined up except for one, and it was
Yeah.
like the Noah and Poseidon side of things. Wow,
Like the way that I also think about it,
I like
I
that.
guess I had a thought now, I just lost it with the like the Noah connection is crazy. But actually the Noah connection does make sense because so like, you know, obviously going back to Oda bringing in a lot of mythology and bringing in a lot of real life aspects. A big idea for me is that I feel like this final war is going to have a lot to do with Ragnarok. Um like the Ragnarok from Norse mythology, which is
Hmm.
sort of like a wipeout of the world, of the universe as we know it, and it's sort of like a big rebirth. And so I think it would only make sense if like, you know, they're all aspects of the world is sort of just completely blown off and you know they have to start afresh. It's like, you know, the new dawn is like the new beginning of this new world where a lot of, you know, the islands might be destroyed but they're having to bring it back, because there's obviously a lot of Norse mythology, like the red line. I've made a video on it. I know, I think Tech King's also made a video on it. Like there's a lot of theories about the red line being a reference to the giant red
Snake.
serpent, the Jormungandr,
Yep.
yep, of exactly, from Norse mythology again. And, you know, that's supposed to happen at, you know, when Ragnarok is supposed to happen. So, yeah, that could be when the Red Line is destroyed, everyone's fighting all over the One Piece planet. And then, you know, heaps of stuff gets destroyed, but then we start to rebuild afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way, like, that's the way I like to think about it. Obviously, there's a bit, we're not kind of like, you know, well, only time will tell. I also do see the logic in like it being a little bit more piecemeal, but it's just the way that Oda's just been talking about this final war, the way that he keeps saying that, you know, it's gonna look, it's going to make you know, Marineford look like play, like child's play. I just think like what's gonna be bigger than pirates and the navy fighting each other? Like it's going to be everyone fighting each other. And the way that the revolutionary storyline has sort of been like quite, you know, it's been a lot more of a side story up until now, but now that they're sort of picking up speed and they're really getting involved in the main storyline, I've been like, okay, maybe my wishes or my dreams or my imagination of wanting to see all of them fighting together, like maybe there's a little bit more plausibility there.
Yeah. No, I think like at the end of the day, right? You said it before too. You can, or maybe it was off call. It was earlier, maybe where it was just like, or maybe it was at the beginning. I forget. Where the you know like you come up with so many theories and like parts of them are gonna probably be true, you know. I'm sure, especially if you're reading a story, it's like some of the ideas are gonna connect one way or the other. Oda has this interesting way of like making all a lot of theories right but then at the same time wrong.
Mm.
And like my favorite
Hmm.
example in recency was when Stussy landed on Egghead. Immediately I said triple agent and I was just like, people are like, nah, that makes sense. How would that be? And I was like headcanoning, like maybe she was like a Rev agent or something like that. and like I wasn't wrong, but then my idea for it was not right at all. Like yeah, I
Mm.
mean, how could you predict a clone of Bakken's Mads mole into CP0 for 20 years? Like that's insane. And then she one hits Kaku and Lucci by biting them because she's also just a vampire bat person like that. And
Yeah.
then you're just like, huh? And then but at the same time I wasn't wrong, but then, you know, and I think here it's like I think we will be getting like everybody fighting together. I think that's one very shonen, very Oda, you know, he loves bringing everyone together. Just like
Mm.
I see Jay in the Twitch chat right now. Hope y'all have a great stream, good stream. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Um,
Thanks, Jay.
always being supportive. And I think I think the question is, what is the scale of the ending? And that's where because what you just said is a completely fresh thing and I never thought about it like that, and now I'm in love with the idea that like each straw hat has their own thing to take care of, and if they don't, and each one doesn't trust each other in the fullest, right? Like in Onigashima when Luffy went down and Kaido was like he's dead, they had to just believe, and nobody was like why are they still fighting, and then like
Mm.
don't worry about it, like we're just gonna keep doing our thing, right? I think back to like Zoro's speech in Arabasta where Chopper was
Mm.
asking like how does your teamwork work, and he's like, well, most people like coddle each other. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like we kind of like do everything we can and hope that the next person does the same and carries it on, and that's how their teamwork is. And I've honestly used that in real life too. I feel like that's a strong way to do it too, because like you're not hand holding each other and everyone gets to their full potential, and I really like that. But then again, it's like what scale is Frankie gonna be like on the moon? And like you were saying when it came to making your space theory, it's like it was so difficult because when you're making like a video and making a script, you want an end, like an end point. Where does this end? And then I
Mm.
imagine that's where it was hard because it kept on expanding because all the connections, and honestly the connections are like numerous, where it's like even look at how the rookies were called. They're called the supernovas. Like how does that relate? Why were they called the supernovas? They didn't name
Mm.
themselves. The world named them the supernovas. Like I wonder why they're called the supernovas. I wonder why that's a system in the world. And then if we were to go from a geocentric system to a heliocentric system, how does that even work? Like, you know, wouldn't the planet get destroyed? And then like if Luffy's the sun god, like what does that mean? If Saint J Garcia is from Saturn or has some connection to Saturn, what does that mean? Did are we actually gonna get races from other planets and things like that? And I guess like that's where I wanted to ask, because like studio this the castle in the sky, La Puta Castle in the Sky. I know some people came in the chat recently like looking at the title and they're like, "Yo, Par is crazy." I'm like, hey, I'm not the crazy one here. For one time on my stream, I'm not the crazy one, but with that reference, it gives you like the map of things that we've like already know of. You know what I mean? Like up until Emu, right? It doesn't contain that. And like in terms of the future, is there like another connection, like another Studio Ghibli movie you think that might have, or another reference that you see, or do you think that it's like this is where it's like original? Because I don't know of any reference that goes to this far, to this extent, where it's like these characters might be planetary beings, other races, and then the ancient kingdom was like this thing. It's so elaborate. I'm kind of curious what you think
Mm.
about that, like the ancient kingdom, how expansive that was.
Well, I have to say that I'm not too sure. I don't think I can be the encyclopedia on Studio Ghibli films,
Right.
unfortunately. Like I do think, I think the reason why Laputa made such a big influence was it was the first Studio Ghibli film that came out when Studio Ghibli was actually formed.
Mm.
Like they had made another film prior to that, but it was before the actual like I guess legal or formal existence of Studio Ghibli as a studio.
Right.
And and I think it has to do with like Oda's age. I think there are other films that I'm sure has influenced Oda because Studio Ghibli also like it's in a way like Oda, they have a lot of symbols that obviously showcase like real life events. There's a lot of films that, look at like what happened in World War II is a very predominant theme that sort of runs across a lot of Studio Ghibli films. but I haven't been able to come across one that has like as many connections, in my opinion, anyways, to what Laputa has. I like when that video came out, I saw a lot of suggestions on like different animes and different films to check out, which I have to confess that I haven't been able to do all of it yet. Like I
Right.
watched one where someone was saying that that I think there could be a connection to Yamato, for example, but not specifically to the entire One Piece world. When
Right.
it comes to the, I guess, the space connections and like all of the planetary system and like alignment and stuff, I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't say that Laputa was the basis for all of Oda's ideas, right?
Right.
It's sort of like, as we say, it's just, it formed, I think, a lot of the core ideas that sort of played in Oda's mind. And he's just obviously expanded on that so much more. And that's why One Piece is still an original story,
Yeah.
like you said, we joked about when you see the connections, you're like, Oda, hang up here. Like, hang on. Like, are all of us content creators scared about copyright strikes when you created the biggest one of all? Like, it's not like that because he's obviously
Right.
created a hugely different story and a different world. And I think actually this is why, like, the space aspect entices me so much and why I enjoyed your videos on it so much. I enjoyed both of them like immensely because they sort of conflict, but then also at the same time, it's sort of like, yeah, connections can sort of be made. And going back to like why I find it so hard to like come up with a space theory is like when you're a content creator, you sort of want all your points to line up and be like,
Mhm.
ha, this is why this is proof and this is why it proves this. Whereas in fact, the reality is actually like, no, there's probably a nugget of truth here and there's a nugget of truth there. Like it doesn't completely line up in our heads right now because we don't know the whole picture. At some point it probably will. And I love the idea that, the ancient kingdom's real name is actually like imagination, like imagination slash the imagine nation. And it makes so much sense because of, the recent truth, the recent reveal about the devil fruits, how Vegapunk's theory is that like devil fruits are the manifestation of imagination. But I also really like the idea of Im actually having some sort of tie to like, but because when you think about it that way, you started thinking, okay, so that means Im was part of the ancient kingdom. But then you start looking at it and you go, okay, hang on a second, but what if we say that Im was actually the representation of Mother Nature and Mother Earth? Does that mean that Im has always been opposed to the ancient kingdom? Like, which one is right? Can a connection be made? Like, probably. And I think it can be. But going from a geocentric to a heliocentric world, like I haven't thought about it very, like I've been thinking about it a lot more figuratively rather than
Mhm.
like a really like in a much more physical sense where like planets are going to be come out of alignment because we are physically changing the world. Like I've always thought about it more like the truth is like in our solar system as well, the truth has always been that we've been living in a solar system,
Right.
a heliocentric world, a system, but then for a period of time in history we thought that we actually lived in a geocentric world. And that's the way that I've interpreted the One Piece world is they're currently in, we already know, like the way that I actually see it is like they're currently stuck in like the 1500s. We sort of know that that's like how they've been placed as well, like sort of in like some period of the Middle Ages. And the way that I see it is like the ancient kingdom actually represents sort of the period of like the peak of Greek and Roman civilization
Mhm.
when they were really advanced and they came up with a lot of technology that still relates and still impacts our world today. But then with the fall of the Roman kingdom, we've sort of went into the dark ages where we lost a lot of technology, we lost a lot of philosophy, a lot of science, and we were living in the middle dark ages. And then came along, Galileo, who tried to like as science started, becoming like was burgeoning again. Galileo was actually telling people like actually we like the Earth isn't the center of the world, the sun is.
Right.
But then the Roman Catholic Church didn't like that and persecuted Galileo, and that's sort of like how I interpret Im. Like Im is sort of like the Catholic Church really heavily focusing on making sure that Im continues to have power and is wiping out, countries, wiping out kingdoms, like nations that I guess like sprouting the truth, the
Right.
good truth. And the way that this sort of connects back to Luffy and I guess more of like modern history is that so sort of now if we are witnessing in the One Piece world the like I'm a bit of a history nerd. Like if we're sort of witnessing like
That's fun.
the Renaissance or like the Renaissance, where rationalism and science is becoming a bit more like coming to the fore again. Like we have figures like Vegapunk, where science is becoming a lot more important and is like coming to the fore. What follows in our real world history is a period of like early modern history. And early modern history was also a really ugly, dark period where we have a lot of world wars, we have a lot of revolutions, where like I guess it's progression, but there's also a lot of like it's a very ugly time, right? Lots of people dying. And I'm not saying that that's not true today, but like on a world scale where everyone's involved in these conflicts, that sort of marked early modern history with all these revolutions. And even though it was necessary, the response to that was romanticism, where there was a lot more hope again, where like if you look at romanticist art, it wasn't about like rationalism and everything had to be about logic. It was about intuition, it was about hope, it was about possibility. And I feel like Luffy is supposed to be the romance dawn, bringing back that flavor of hope into the world, where even though like revolutions are necessary to sort of throttle, like to topple this falsehood, which is I
Hmm.
know what something that you brought up with Im, like this false kingdom or this false idea of who the ruler is. Like because it's going to be quite a dark and ugly period. Luffy is sort of like this manifestation of like romance, like a romance where things are still like things can look up again. Sort of like at the end of Ragnarok when we can rebuild a new Earth.
Right, right.
So that's something that's been like running through my mind. And I'm really glad that I watched your video because it helped me sort of like put the pieces together. Um, but yeah, it's just I love coming together. Like even when you mentioned the straw hats being off at different places, like that's not something I was thinking about. Like when I said that the world was going to be like that the battle is going to take place in
Disjointed.
different places. Yeah, I just meant like, maybe the straw hats are fighting here, but the rest of the Grand Fleet are going to be fighting somewhere. Like
Right,
I
yeah.
like didn't even occur to me that, different straw hats could be at different places, but like why not? Like
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
So my plan was to just at the end of the stream just share a bunch of ideas with you. One of the main reasons is because given that we're on opposite sides of the world, who knows when I'll be able to catch another one of your streams and hop in the chat like, oh my god, Joy Girl, did you think about this? Blah blah. It's very hard to talk. So I was thinking about like, I always spoil my videos even if I don't make that, because like the important part isn't even the videos to me. It's like talking about them and having fun with it. So the reason why I was thinking the straw hats would all be in different places was because of this idea that, so in the second video, the sun god orbit video, I was talking about essentially how the Gorosei and Eam might have been a part of the original Joy Boy crew, where the original leader would be the sun god Nika, and then Emu would be
Hmm.
Earth, the Gorosei obviously planets, and then the ancient weapons also planets. And the explanation there is like, well, the ancient weapons have Greek names, and then the right now we understand that the Gorosei probably have Roman god names. And essentially what happened was when Rome took over, they just cloned the Greek gods. Like, I'm joking, but like that's kind of what they did. They just took Zeus and turned him into Jupiter. Like they just one to
Hmm.
one. They didn't change too much with it. They just gave a name change, a branding, a rebrand, and that's what it was. And so now that we have cloning, it kind of would make sense if that was the case. And so you get this crew that like is essentially like a star crew, right? Like that everybody is a planet, essentially, a celestial body. And if you were to think about it like that, and Luffy's the new sun god Nika, well, he has a new crew. And if you line up the numbers, it kind of matches up where each Straw Hat could be a new planet on their own. I mean, if you look at Zoro, for example, I know this doesn't make sense, this is why I haven't put out the video yet, but like he got King of Hell, and King of Hell references Pluton. And so like he would be the planet that references that in the
Mm.
Gorosei lineup. And then you could choose each Straw Hat to be that. Honestly, Brook makes way more sense for that. But like, I don't know how it lines up particularly, but that's kind of why I was thinking about it, because each one of them has their own orbit. They have their own dream. They have their own thing, and they're just kind of orbiting around Luffy in a way, right? Like when you think about like Sanji had to go off course, but at the same time, Luffy brought
Yeah.
him back into the orbit because for some reason Luffy has this feeling that he needs these people, right? And I when I think about that number, when I think about that possible parallel, I'm thinking that Luffy's new crew might be the new representation of that solar system, so to say. And that's why when you said the disjointed thing, I was like, oh my god, it could be like each one has their own planet kind of going on. So many different things, and then with the space thing. So this is my current favorite one. I told Dax this one. This one's my favorite one at the moment because it connects to the emu being mother nature, right? Mother nature, the sea, right? But at the same time, the Earth is just in the One Piece world a very interesting planet because it's like it almost feels manufactured. The red line is there, but then the way the Birkins and Skypiea people talked about it, Verth, like there's something odd about that this existence of this planet, the same planet with like this random energies, the perfect not the perfect con belt, our world has a con belt too, but like the islands, the way that they're done, it almost feels like someone like
Mm-hmm.
made it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I don't know if you listen to, like Neil deGrasse Tyson but like a lot of those science people, they like joke around. It's like the planet is essentially just a flying spaceship, right? Like the Earth is just a
Mm-hmm.
wet rock that flies through space, and that's why I talked to Dax. Dax has a video talking about this, but I took it in a different way. So just to clue you in, he was saying that the red line might be a steering wheel, like it might be a giant steering wheel that got the things taken off, and it might resemble more of like Drum Island, how the tops got shaved off, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Um, so he went, and it's a great video, by the way. I was taking a different route, and I was like, wait, if the planet is a ship, if the planet is a ship, and like you think about like the Going Merry, if it was ever loved, it got a Klabouterman, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
could Eam be Earth's Klabouterman? And when you think about it like that, the what's it called, Mary was able to take it to its original state, right? In Skypiea,
Mm-hmm.
it knew what's original state. Usopp was like, wait, how did it just go backwards? And but like it
Yeah.
knew its original state, is able to control it and rebuild it, whatever. It was able to have full autonomy over itself. It also sailed itself in the way it wanted to. And then I was thinking about like, wait, if Eam is the Kabouterman for the Earth, then that would explain all of like, if people say that it has the power to control water, well, yeah, because it has all power of the planet, because it's the combatant, it's the
Yeah.
spirit of the planet, and it could easily
Yeah,
just
yeah,
be
yeah.
or something like that. And again, that's a video that probably is like like maybe 2 or 3 videos. And like I know a lot of people are thinking like maybe the Earth is natural, one way or the other. If you thought of the Earth as a ship, then it would have a kabouterman. and
Yes.
and it just, but then I was like, wait, but then it wouldn't be an evil thing. I don't know, it's just, it's a cool thought, but then it would explain why it's constantly in shadows, right? Like we don't know what it is, and it could just be that the
Yeah, like
entire
a figure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's a wild thought. Like, and I know that you were struggling, like, oh, how do we like connect this to being evil? But that's the thing, like the way that I've always like the reason why I like the Mother Nature side of Im is that like obviously with One Piece, nothing is ever black or white. And I don't think Im, even though is the final villain, is a wholly evil character. And so if Imu is like the Klabauterman of Earth, of the ship, like it could have been like Joy Boy, for example, was the captain that maybe there was a betrayal, but Imu, like there's this, there's a lot more like there's a lot more going on there than being Imu just being like completely evil. I like that idea a lot. And that's a very wild it's a something that's a wild thought that I would expect from you, Pa. The level of like tinfoil, I love. It's a crazy idea, but it makes like I really like that, and I also really like the idea of like each of the Straw Hats possibly becoming like a its own planet by the end of the story, and I like that you drew the parallel between Zoro being like the king of hell and being like Pluto, because right now, like Pluton, if we are to stick with this idea that each of them represent planets, right now, Pluton is obviously an ancient weapon. If you think about it like centuries into the future, when they talk about Zoro, like he is going to be at the scale of an ancient weapon, like someone
Yeah.
who has enough power to like wipe out entire countries, like entire nations, like a big of a threat as an ancient weapon. So it's cool because if we've got three ancient weapons, like could be a lot of people, obviously the monster trio, and whether there's a new monster trio because of the addition of Jinbei is like obviously something that the power scalers of the community talk about a lot. But like, hey, maybe that's true. Like, if Luffy's the sun, if Jinbei Sanji and Zoro sort of become this new monster trio, or become the next three, like they're obviously the next three commanders after, like, if Luffy's the captain, then it makes sense that each of them could become like the ancient weapons of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I like those ideas a lot. I
There's
like it a lot, Pa.
there's one last level since you like it so much. So the thing about Clobotomans that Frankie told us is that and Clobotomans are actually a real reference, by the way, for the people in the chat that don't know. This is actually a sailor thing. Was that Clobotomans show up at the end of the ship's life. So if the ship's in doom or in danger and the crew needs saving or whatever,
Mm.
so Eam could maybe have appeared in the world because of the dire straits that the Earth is in, and that might be why, like the Gorosei. I mean, again, this is just now I'm like just spitballing, but like you remember like Usopp wanted to save the Mary at all costs, right? And it's like any even Luffy wanted to until he accepted the reality from the people and you don't want to put it through more pain, but you can't just replace a planet, right? Or can you? And
Mhm.
that's like the interesting part, where it's like maybe the Gorosei are just trying to maintain the equilibrium so they don't have to go to Mars, right? So like there's so many
Mhm.
different ways where it's like if Eam is the Kabouterman, that's really cool. But then at the same time, here's like the other direction I was going was another separate video. I told Randy Troy part of it, but the idea that I was having is like I think this is a normal idea is like Eam. I think a lot of people already assume that it's like a female figure probably.
Mhm.
I think it's a safer bet to make. Uh, but I was thinking like, and I feel like the thumbnail or the title is gonna be like Princess Emu. So I think that Emu is gonna be a princess that represents all of the princesses in the entire story, all combined, all their traumas that they experienced. Luffy liberated every Vivi, every single one, Rebecca, all of them. And we go through those things, and regardless of whatever problem you see with them, they needed help, whatever it is, but they were under like an immense stress, right? Where by the end of their lines, you wouldn't blame them for making a mistake or whatever, or doing anything, bad. And then you imagine that like the ancient kingdom caused all of this stress, the same thing to Eam, but I think the focal point might actually be the newest princess that we find out about. Wait, hold on. I'm seeing that Twitch has no audio. How does Twitch have no audio? Maybe refresh real quick because is YouTube going good? I just want to make sure if we're getting the audio. I think Twitch is that might be on Twitch's end because there's no
We
thing
got
on my end.
we got we got blipped.
Yeah, the
You were
Gorosei.
hitting gold. Yeah, Imu's out. His Imu, they're worried that you figured out their identity.
All right, so I'm seeing that YouTube is good. Mod Dill is saying that there's no audio. Dracula saying no audio on Twitch. Um, for the time being, I would say hop over to the YouTube chat. Hopefully, Twitch figures it out. It's really weird. Okay, so yeah, it's really weird that there's the YouTube side is fine and then Twitch is not. Usually, Twitch doesn't do that. So I can't do anything at the moment. I don't know sign language, so I apologize. But I don't know how many of you know sign language either, but if you, I mean, one, there's the VOD. Well, they can't hear me anyways. So I just realized they can't hear me anyways. VOD or jump to YouTube. There we go. Thank you, Patek. Um, that was pretty funny. Okay. What was I saying? The princess thing. So the newest princess right now is actually Bonnie. Bonnie is
Mhm.
technically a princess of Sorbet Kingdom, and if her storyline resembles the Void Century, this is the way I see it going. Vegapunk turned her dad into a mindless robot that got multiplied and like is like slandered, like Jimbei was like, I can't imagine a good person ever doing this thing, right? And then she sees her dad as a celestial dragon slave, sees her dad as a mindless robot at the Summit War. She saw all that. They're getting beaten up, destroyed by people that she has to ally with now, right? Like that's traumatic, right? And now she's in with Vegapunk, and Vegapunk's not giving her the answers. Like he's doing everything he can to hide the answers from her, and maybe he has good reasons. But the problem is those reasons don't matter to Bonnie, and I don't blame her for not. That she needs to have the reasons, right? And the thing is, like, Vegapunk is the parallel to the Ancient Kingdom. He's just a lesser version. So if you were to take Akuma or a Kuma situation and amplify it to the Void Century. Right now, we're associating with the legendary Iron Giant, right? The pacifistas. Iron Giant was a pacifist in the movie. That's how I connected. But like, it could be that the legendary Iron Giant was the Void Century's Kuma, so to say. And Eam could be the Bonnie version of the Void Century, where she was traumatized by the scientists in the Void Century, and it doesn't matter how good, whatever good that they were doing, when they do something like that, and that could have caused the innate trauma that we see. And the thing is, even right now, what Vegapunk says is like the devil fruit powers are essentially um human evolution at the end stages, right? The window into the end
Mhm.
stages of human evolution. Well, that's what Bonnie's power is. Bonnie's power is essentially being able to evolve people to whatever thing. So even in that light, there's a microcosm where like the precipice of power right now, Bonnie has a handle on that. And it could be that Emu was the precipice of power during the Void Century, and it could be that she was a byproduct of it of some way, either created, because now we have cloning, we have cyborgs, we have so many different ways to come to that conclusion, and a byproduct in the sense of like whatever they were trying to do, it might have messed up Emu to the point where they're like, you know what, this is all wrong. We need to just go backwards. We need to go all the way back to the beginning and never have this ever happen ever again. And all the trauma that we see in the world, like I know a lot of people who are on like a Marine side, and whether they joke or not, Sai by the way is on the Marine side. He's like, yeah, well, like pirates are bad. Pirates are bad, and the struggles that we see on in the world are just things, the hard pill that we have to swallow to maintain the order, because the Marines are essentially doing that. And that might be what Eam's saying. Well, Eam's probably looking at the world like, at least no one's experiencing what I had to experience back in my day, that kind of a thing.
Mm.
And then it would follow the plot line where Luffy liberates the last princess, would be Eam of the Void Century of the Ancient Kingdom, because it seems like
Mm.
all of the kingdoms also that Luffy had to interact with also all stem from the Ancient Kingdom, right? Arabasta,
Mm.
Wano, Hiyori, Momo,
Mhm.
Fishman Island, like all of these were
Yeah.
also from the Void Century. So why wouldn't he
Yeah.
also liberate essentially the Void Century princess? And I don't know where that one plays out to either. But there's a few ways to go to that. Dressrosa as well, Dressrosa direct. I mean, all the kingdoms have a direct relation to the Void Century. I'm more seeing meaning like the allies of the Ancient Kingdom,
Yeah.
essentially. Um, and
That's
in
a really interesting idea.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Keep
in,
going.
in that line of context, I don't know what the power would be, but that's where the imagination thing would come from, right? Because if the Ancient Kingdom's main power, their currency was imagination, they created a being for that. And then the sentience, the AI of it, which might be what we're seeing on Egghead right now, right? Like, at the moment, we're not sure if the Seraphims have their own commander, or they're going haywire off of command, or someone commanded them and they're just attacking everyone. Well, it could be something like that where Eam, as a byproduct, was given some order, maybe protect the Earth, and then
Mhm.
boom, you get this 800-year void where they don't know necessarily how to transition into a better future, rather than just keeping the status quo. And And now after talking with you, I have so many more ideas too with all the planetary stuff. Oh my goodness. This is so much fun.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you for
mean,
being here, by the way.
yeah. No, I'm having so much fun as well. This is like sparking off so many different ideas. Like, I'm like coming up like, wait, this is a different way I could look at like this theory I had. But I like this im being like the representation of all the princesses is another wild one, like another wild angle to look at. But like, I like it, and it would also really make sense. Like thematically, it's sort of like a Uta style villain. Again, it's like a someone who's not wholly bad, like a someone who was like a victim slash villain. And I think that is the level of depth that we can expect from Oda for a final villain. And it would also be fresh in the fact that it's sort of a new way to it's not the same formula as all the other arcs where Luffy is saving the princess from an external villain. It's like it's the villain and a victim all in one. It's similar to like that. There's a reason why the Katakuri fight was so compelling is because
Hmm.
Katakuri was such a nuanced character, whereas like it's an antagonist, but at the same time Luffy was like freeing Katakuri from himself, and it's sort of like it's in that thematic style of villainy. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting one that you're sitting on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do like, a lot of people don't like the making the villain, like a lot of people like when the villain is a whole villain, and I don't know how they see that for
Mm,
Eam necessarily. I know they see that for Blackbeard and Rocks and those kinds of characters. Eam might be one of those characters, especially given, like you said, with Film Red, not spoilers, but if you guys haven't watched Film Red, you should. Reason why is because the director for it knows the ending of One Piece. And so if they know the ending of One Piece, they're not going to straight out tell you what it looks like, but they're going to give you a window into it. So all of what Joy Girl just said, like, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if Emu had that kind of a storyline where it's like, yeah, Uta, daughter of Shanks, and it's like, I wonder how Shanks, like what Shanks represents in that light, right? Because then what I'm talking about here is if like also on the other side of things, there's a whole thematic of bad dads in One Piece, which we really need to sit Oda down for a therapy session with that one for sure. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if like Emu or the last saga continues that, right? Like what I just said with Kuma and Bonnie, not that Kuma's a bad dad. Kuma's probably gonna be one of the best dads, but he's a dad that had to make a huge sacrifice, and Bonnie's suffering right now. Well, if you amplified that to Eam, if they have a dad or a creator of some sort, and whatever that looks like, it could play into the role of the father, the parenthood thing that we see, the trope that we see with One Piece that Oda keeps on bringing back. And that's what's crazy about all of this, right? Like we started talking about like, hey, like yeah, we just started, I caught up during the pandemic, like oh, I just, it was a gateway drug, just a rubbery boy, pirates. Hopefully people get into live action because the adventure, the ocean, and meeting friends and all that stuff. And then we ended the conversation with like the gods and the planets colliding and the war on this huge scale, insatiable hunger, the Ultron and all this stuff. It's like, it's so crazy. And we, even with this conversation, we still didn't scratch like devil fruit creation and all of that
no.
stuff. There's still so much more to talk about. um and so I'm glad you enjoy this conversation. I know I tried to fit a lot in, and hopefully we can get you on for more. And I know we're hitting like the 2 hour mark, and I don't know how much more time you have for this. We don't have too many super chats to go through, but I can go through a few of them quickly, and then we could talk with the chat and maybe close out the stream. Do you have time for that?
Sounds great.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. So first, Lord Vegeta, how are you? Why you jumped over to Twitch to gift another 10 subs over to the Twitch side?
Oh,
So I appreciate that, and just so you guys know I haven't been giving Twitch that much love. I will be starting to stream again on Twitch exclusive very soon. To do the watch parties, because I am like, not I don't want, not trying to trivialize the word depression here, but I given what I just said, I've never experienced a One Piece anime drought ever in my life like right now. And it's for a good reason. I have a newborn son, so it's like, obviously, but like I'm not joking. The last like 25 years, it's been One Piece every single Saturday. And so now that we're getting like peak piece, and like I have to hear all the content creators like, have you watched episode 1045? I'm like, no, I know what happens because I read the manga, but like, no, I don't know. And like I haven't felt like this ever because I've never had to be on this side. And now Lord Vegeta hits me with another 20 gifted memberships on YouTube. So appreciate that. Ragnar sold a brick at level he's gifting right now. Yo. Hey, we were talking about selling bricks earlier on the stream. One Piece is the ultimate brick. Yeah, and it's not even like a meme, right? Like, when you mentioned how your friends got you into One Piece, I was like, they're good friends, right? But like at the same time, the One Piece community gets that like the stigma of like Jehovah Witnesses or like knocking on the door. Hey, do you want to like? Have you watched One Piece
The
yet?
good news.
Yeah, like the
Good.
spreading the good word about Goda, right? So, appreciate you, Lord Vegeta. Thank you for supporting the stream. And now I just know that I should, because my brain is like super foggy, but I think I had one other Voice of All Things, that one of these streams I started like last week or something like that, maybe. So this is technically like my first solo one with another content creator. So I'm glad we're doing. Oh yeah, I did one last week with the detective one. I did a whole. Do you know Detective Conan?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my other favorite thing. Like ever since I was a kid, I watched Detective. I still watch it, still read it, even though it's a
Oh,
kid
really?
show.
Wow.
Yeah, I
No,
love it.
it's great. I think it was the something about Bride. It was like a Halloween Bride one. Like a film came out last year in
Oh,
Australia, and I went to watch it with Liam
I
and
still have to
Dawn and
watch
a
that one.
few and another friend.
I have to
Good,
watch.
yeah, it's good fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're so much fun. It's so crazy
Mm.
because like spoilers for the movies. The movies like go to Dragon Ball Z level. Like it's crazy. I don't know about the one that you watched because I haven't watched that one. But like the amount of things that the main character plays soccer. And the amount of things that he could do with a soccer ball is great. Like he stopped a bullet train, a maglev train with a soccer ball in a movie. Spoilers, but like you see it coming and you're just like, no, that's crazy right now. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So we had a because Egghead was giving because Oda actually talked with Aoyama, the creator, last year. And
Yeah, that's very
and
true.
so when Egghead started doing the silhouette stuff, like last week when behind Pythagoras someone came up,
Ah,
I just had like I was like, this is Detective Conan right now. So I had to
yeah.
throw on that stream, and it was a lot of fun. So this is technically the first stream I'm doing with the content creator in terms of Voice of All Things. So thank you again for being there, being here for it. Let me get to the super chats.
No,
Uh
thank you.
let's see. I see Baby Pluton with the $20 super chat says, I think that Mother Nature against devil fruits could be a one piece version of church versus state where the church had a lot of power on the people by using God and the state wanted a logical and moral thought process.
Yeah, so it goes back to the Galileo thing that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that connection.
Yeah, I think like it's the other thing about that the stranglehold that it's there. It's like what they wanted you to do is they didn't want you to seek out your own answers. They wanted you to go to an institution for those answers, and the
Mm,
institution was the church. And so like any
mm.
questions that you like, why aren't my plants growing, right? Instead of you studying about weather, you go to the church and they tell you like, oh, it's because you're
You
not
haven't
nice to
given
your
enough
goats or something.
offerings.
Yeah, something like that, right? And that's an extreme example. Obviously that wasn't all of it, and that's not like a modern example, but that was how it was used. And in the One Piece world, it's interesting because they almost don't even do that. They don't even give you the answers. They just like leave you on an island. They're like, oh, there's bad people, we'll protect you, but we're not telling you anything, we're not doing anything, you know what I
Mm,
mean? So it's interesting, and that's where I was kind of going with the other route, in that video that you were talking about with how Mother Nature might hate devil fruits, not because they're unnatural, so to say, but more so that humans are capable of those things, on their own, but because they're consuming this thing that gives them a shortcut, it's not natural that way. But because that stunts their potential, their imagination essentially. But then again,
Mm,
that'd be like it'd be weird because the world government's like peddling, but then they also say devil fruits are bad, so it's a weird thing.
yeah.
I wonder I'm curious what you think about this. We talked about this at the Reverie. Like Oda's like, or One Piece is gonna be studied like a religion. Like Attacking made a joke about it. I think everyone makes a joke. Roger's base is basically a pastor just reading Bible service every week. Jay has services every Sunday for
Yeah.
One Piece. So
Yeah,
like
it's the church
yeah, do you think like
katakuri.
I know there's a lot of people that study like Lord of the Rings like that. Do you you have an alter ego, but when One Piece ends and do you ever like expect like people to like go to you as like a like when One Piece One Piece is already on like French mainstream television, right? So when like they bring in like One Piece phenomenon of One Piece, they're gonna bring in experts, right? Naturally, they're gonna go to people on YouTube, right? And then what if one day your local news station calls up Joy Girl? Could you tell us about One Piece? Do you? I feel like that's a thing, and that sounds silly, but I feel like that might happen.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, I will gladly accept my role. If it happens, I will come out like, in every classic superhero movie, the superhero has to come out. I'll accept it at that stage. If I am, I don't know if I deserve that status. I won't claim that I deserve that status, but if they're willing to give me that status, I'm not gonna fight them on it.
Like like how they have like expert in economics. It'd be like the One Piece expert Joy Girl, and then they like link your YouTube channel. They put some clips on there where you're bouncing off the wall and then your reaction 1044 or something like that. Oh my god, that's just funny to think about because I feel like it might happen, which is even crazier of an idea. But yeah, let's with the next super chat, Anime Dimension, $5. It says there's a Marineford war. It will be similar in bigger scale, so I think it'll happen in the new Marineford and Marriage Raw. Do you think it'd be not constricted, but like localized like that, or do you think it'd be like all over the world? I like the all over the world kind of thing.
Like for me, it's still sort of all over the world. It also goes back to sort of like another like a crockpot theory that I had about what the One Piece is, and like I know that Megan from the Volume One podcast had theories about, you know, how everything is connected and what the like Luffy's childish dreams and what that
Hmm.
is. But I was also thinking like, what if the One Piece is like it was originally the One Piece world was actually like Pangea when all lands were connected.
Hmm.
Um and so it like the idea of a battle taking all over the world, like I don't know if the Pangea will happen again where all worlds will be connected again, but we had a continent puller for a reason, right? Like so if the world was connected at one place, like the idea was that, everyone celebrates under the one moon, the one piece of land, and that's sort of where my head was going. I'm not crazily sold on the idea, but it was just another one of the wild ideas I had. So like if the battle could take place all over the world, it doesn't even have to necessarily be like separated by sea. They could be on like one giant continent if that was to happen again in the future. But who knows? Maybe it could be separated and it could still happen all over the place. Like it could, like you brought up, Frankie could be fighting on the moon, which I didn't even think about. So
That'd be really cool. It would be really
yeah.
cool. So there's so many times like I have the streams are generally for me to just say what's on my mind. And so one of my first few streams, I was telling people I like sent a mission out. I don't know if people still remember the mission, but it was essentially to look at all the island shapes. I still haven't gotten the time to do this, but those of you guys who know my Joy Boy Records theory with the moon know that Wano is shaped like a brain. Wano, the actual island, like the modern Wano, when you look at it, it's a brain that actually has the same dissections that like our frontal lobe and parietal lobe, like all those things have. It even has a brainstem for randomly, like it just has like a
Crazy.
cutoff. It's super crazy. So that's a fun video if you ever want to check that out, Joy Girl. But um this the other part of it was like, Jaya looks like a skull. And when the Pangea thing, Threeville has talked about it, that a lot of people have that thing, but I don't know why it just clicked, but the whole Caboterman thing and then the ship thing, I was like, wait, if you combine all the thing, how crazy would it be if there was like a body that was made? Because we already have a skull and a brain. Like those are in like Jaya is undoubtedly a skull and Wano's undoubtedly a brain. And like I made a joke uh that like Annie's lobby is like a belly button. You guys have a different, you know, term for it. And then Arabasta's like lungs, and then there's like another one that's like a heart. And that would be crazy if Pangea was just a giant body. That'd be wild. Sorry, I was just spitting ideas, but whew, now I gotta actually look at the
That's a
islands.
no, that is a fun idea. That is a very fun idea. Like it could go back to again, like, the idea of Earth being manifested. So there's an actual manifestation of Earth. And so all the islands come together to create like it's a like fun,
Yeah. Wow.
very fun idea.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely be seeing.
someone yeah, I'm sure that someone please do check all the maps and see how they connect.
Yeah, I mean, I know how your guys' mind works. I said Annie's lobby's a belly button. You said something else. It might rhyme with Uranus, but I didn't say it. You did. But Baby Pluton with the $10 super chat says, Renaissance period was also around the time when the Illuminati began, where a lot of great philosophers and scientists were involved in the group trying to convince the people of modern thinking. Wait, so like the Illuminati were like good people then? Like,
Mads? Like, is that like a connection to like Mads in that case? And then because Illuminati now is getting like blamed for a lot of shady bad stuff, right? Like you usually associate Illuminati with like evil and
yeah.
conspiracy now. So is it like they started off as someone good? Because Mads was like about peace. It seems like from the cover stories, like Mads was about peace at the beginning.
Right.
Um, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
Oh man, Mads
cool,
being
cool
for peace
connection.
is such a good thing. When I saw that, I was like, "What do you mean for peace? They're all creating like it said
Yeah, I
lab
know.
of
It
peace,
was
and then they
weird.
said weapons of like
Yeah.
destruction." I was like, "What? Like what peace? What peace are we what are we going with?" But that's interesting. I thought I knew the Illuminati thing existed for a time. I didn't know where it originated. That's interesting. I wonder what the etymology of. I really love etymology, where words came from. That's my favorite thing. Um, so wait, what were the great? Now I need to know. Babe Pluton in the Discord. Can you let me know like what great philosophers and scientists were part of that? Because then what? Yo, if like Pythagoras and like some of the satellites, no, they're different eras. They're not the same era. But some of them could be. That'd be, we'll save that for a different time. Lord Vegeta with the $5 super chat, thank you, said, Par's been in my streams when I had 0 views, bro. Love you, brother. Hey, that's why I say if you guys stream, I have like in the Discord like a place where you guys link it. I forget how I found Lord, your stream, but I'm I'm a stream hopper. I'm a channel hopper. I'm everywhere all at once. Like Joy Girl was streaming at like 2 a.m. one time, and we played a game of Tetris. We made a gamble. She made the gamble actually. I didn't do anything. She did everything on her own, and then I was like, sure. and, but yeah, just all this channel is all about making connections. If you guys streaming, making content, whatever it is, make sure to share it because this is a good. I always say this. There's like I've been a part of gaming communities. I've been part of like various other niche communities, but One Piece community is like beyond anything
Another
else.
level.
Like when people like speculate on the outside, like what does this guy do? I'm like, you don't even understand. This is so different than like just like playing the same games with other people. It's so different. And I think if we're not supporting each other, then we're not using One Piece to the full extent, right? And the
So
same
nice,
reason,
spreading the good news of One Piece.
yeah, and the same thing where it's like we started the stream and so many of you guys were asking about Joy Girl's other podcast, the Blue Banana podcast. And it's like everyone wants to support everybody's endeavors, and it's definitely a fun one. I gotta check out. I think I watched maybe one of the episodes. I forget what it was. Maybe it was like something about a toilet. I feel like someone sent me that one for sure. Um,
Yeah, it's less. We do definitely talk about anime, but it's less
yeah,
anime and more other stuff.
yeah,
We are planning on talking about anime a bit more though, so
sounds good.
definitely check
Sounds
it out.
good.
That piques interest.
Wait, what video, Dill? We need the video? What video? The dance video? Oh, it's
Oh, the
coming.
dance video,
It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. Don't
the
worry.
music video. We need the music
Yeah,
video.
yeah. You know, though I had a kid, it's all been in the works under in behind the scenes. The bandwidth was there for it. Because there was an end goal. Joy Girl owes us a dance music video, so we're gonna get that. Then the last super chat I see right now, Anime Dimension with the $20 super chat says, as you mentioned, Emu may be princess. Then I'm gonna extend that theory, and Emu's the daughter of Joy Boy. And assuming Joy Boy is similar, how Luffy, he is all about Nakama and parties who never cared about Emu, so she is about revenge. I was wondering if you would go that route, and because there's many ways to go about it, but I've been loving the idea, not loving, I don't want to say loving, but like that Joy Boy, just like, because if you think about Roger,
Deadbeat dad.
yeah, like, well, not that Joy was a deadbeat dad, but like if you think about Roger, Roger didn't have his head on straight when it came around for Ace, right? He was just like, he's like, who's gonna find the next One Piece? Oh, my son. Oh, but I'm also dying, and it's like not that it's like reckless to be like terminally ill and have a child. Like I know that's like a crazier topic, but like Roger had a set of circumstances that were definitely like, his wife or the Ace's mom. We don't even know if they were married, by the way. So he might have just had a baby mama, first of all, and then second of all, that baby mama had to hold Ace for 20 months. That's a lot of stress. I just saw Birth live. Yo, count me out. I'm not, women are too strong for sure. Conquers hockey. Rouge conquers hockey, by the way. I'll make a theory on that
Oh yeah.
actually. 100%. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that Rouge had conquers hockey. I'll be the first one to say it. But um but yeah, Joy Boy being the dad that like set the story of One Piece is kind of like a funny thing because I always was thinking that like One Piece was a cycle, right? So like right now it's the One Piece, and the theory of breaking the red line to make it one all blue One Piece, right? And then Luffy has a kid and it's Boofy, and Boofy's story is Two Piece. We joke about it, but his whole point is he's trying to make the world back into the red line and split it up into two pieces. And even as a meme, like I don't know, I feel like it makes sense that Joy Boy is involved in some kind of like messing up. I mean, he already apologized to Poseidon for something, or yeah, Poseidon, right? So, wonder what it was. Maybe it was because he abandoned his kid, for sure. Yasop's, we're still waiting for his apology, right?
I mean, well, Usopp didn't mind. They were fighting together strong.
Yeah, that's true. Usopp could have easily been Emu. I wouldn't have blamed Usopp if he became Emu, right? Because he's God Usopp, right? Imagine if he had a
True.
vendetta against Yasop.
Warrior of the Sea.
Yeah, and War. Oh my God, Joygo, we're cooking here. We're cooking. Um, I think that just means we need to have more streams and maybe a collab video. Maybe a collab video. Um, I think we found a good time of day that we could come together, cross the planet, and connect.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, with that, I think it's a good time to start wrapping up. Look at the chat, see if anything pops out. But and if you need to go, feel free to tell the chat what you have going on, or when your soft hiatus, but withdrawal, keeping your withdrawal in check. Streams. When Joy Girl is gonna go into Gear 5 again with all of her content. Feel free, whatever it is. If you see any comments, feel free to respond. Um,
I mean, I just want to say thank you so much. I actually had so much fun in this stream. It's been a while since I've done a collab like this, like in-person stream as well. And so it's yeah, it's been a wild time, and a lot of our ideas like just connects and mesh so well that I definitely have so much more to think about. I know I've said that I've already been working on a space video for months, but I feel like you've added so much to it already that like I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to bring it out. But at the level that you're able to, come out with content even as a new father. Like it's very inspiring and I feel like I have to pick up my game. And I like what you're doing where you're not like you're just having one massive video and you're actually just breaking it up into like, parcelize it. I think I don't know, it might be a good way for me to look at it. So you've definitely inspired me and I've got a lot to think about. And also thank you to the chat. I had a fun time reading everyone's comments. You guys are wild. A lot of fun. We got the Joy Vision. We've called the Joy Vision from now on.
Yeah.
So when we do our music video collab, it'll be the Joy Vision. It actually sounds like something like like Eurovision. It actually
Yeah.
sounds like a um like some sort of talent show.
It does. Low key. I know a lot of people is gonna say it sounds like Bollywood a little bit. Joy Division does sound very brown, also, but you couldn't have said anything kinder to me for that, because like that's the entire point of the channel, where it's like I don't necessarily. I've been memed like so hard, like on TikTok, whatever, and Instagram, because I'm just like making like shorts that are just super funny. Like I posted a video saying like Big Mom is technically Kaido's right hand, like his real right hand, and the joke is it's like Kaido's commanders are the calamities, and Big Mom's a
Yeah.
natural disaster. And who was on the rooftop with Kaido on his right hand? It was Big Mom. And it's like fun, and it's like one, where the ideas go. I at the end of the day, it's like I don't care too much about being right, but inspiring thoughts, making people feel like they can share their ideas. Dak Sake was one of those creators who after I put out like Vanderdecken is a mushroom or Mihawk is a sword, he was like, you know what, this guy is putting out crazy stuff. I could put out his theory was that Pluton is a mole, and like and at the Reverie everybody loved it, and so at the end of the day, what you just said, like inspiring new ideas. I'm glad. If you need help with the space thing, DM message me whenever. Message whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever you need. That I'll definitely anytime. So thank you, Joy Girl, for being here. Thank you, chat, for not being as crazy as you are with me and being respectful as much as you can. I know that usually with my live streams it gets a little crazy, so thank you for being respectful. And yeah, so hopefully we can, in the future we'll talk more. Hopefully we the what 10,000 miles in between us, we can shorten that gap through One Piece through the internet. And I'm glad you're having you had a lot of fun with this stream, because that was the goal. Hopefully maybe the oh no, I'm a drug dealer. I just amplified I just amplified your need to put
My
out.
addiction.
Yeah, the addiction. I'm so
I
sorry.
was I was doing well and I'm getting pulled back in.
Oh no. uh Usually it's funny because the streams, it just naturally happens where whatever we talked about at the beginning loops around back at the end, and usually it's a wholesome thing. And this one I didn't expect I was preparing to be like, I don't know, more tame with what I said. Somehow we got to the thing, whatever it is. Thank you, Joy Girl, for helping me with my withdrawals and getting me back up on the Voice of All Things. And hopefully the chat enjoyed listening to the Voice of All Things with Joy Girl. I actually just got a message from my wife, so I gotta go also. So I'm gonna end the stream now. And so see you guys next time. I think the next stream is just 1076 on Thursday. So talk to you guys soon, and make sure to go sub to Joy Girl. Spam her comments like, when's the next video, blah blah blah, space piece, motivate her. And then yeah, and then hopefully if you guys tune into her streams, I'll probably be there, maybe hopefully soon too. uh yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Aim PDX, thank you for the super chat. Great stream, Par. W to Joy Vision combo, need more of it. Hey, we have 5 more years of One Piece. I think it'd be crazier to say that me and Joy Girl don't sit on a voice call again at some point in the 5 years, right?
Some point.
Yeah. So All right, guys, have a good morning, afternoon, night, wherever you're from. See you guys soon.